Right, we're going to get started with our last session of the day. Before we do and bring on our guests, oh, they're coming on now. Hey, look, why not? Please, come on, guys. Please welcome the head of Radio 1, Haydn Jones, producer Vinuri Perera, and Greg James. Now, tonight, the party, please don't forget you must take your badge. Without your badge, you will not get in. So whatever you're doing beforehand, please do take your badge. It's at the Blitz Club. The nearest S-Bahn is Isabor. The nearest U is Max Weber-Platz. If you take the U2 from the station here, Messerstadt, then you can change and get the S-line. So please be there from 7 o'clock, goes on till late at the Blitz Club, but do not forget your badge. Right, great ending to today. It's been a fantastic day. It's going to be a fantastic last session. Let me hand over to Alid, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good, you're there. I would like to just say that the counter started a minute ago. I work in radio. I want that minute back. Thank you. I'm Alid Haydn Jones, head of Radio 1, and I'll show you a little video to start with to show what we do on the station. Can we get the presentation up? It'll be a very dry one if it's a no. OK. There we go. Let's give you a little bit.
Wasn't that worth the wait?
That was worth the wait. And you're going to love this, but it is not moving. So I will put a message out into the universe. There we go.
Radio on breakfast.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
It's so early in the morning.
I'm so sorry for waking you up. Millie Bobby Brown is my special guest this morning.
I don't think chocolate ice cream is that good.
What about a grilled courgette? It's really good.
It's middle class, isn't it?
That felt personal, that one. I'm really excited. I'm honoured to be sitting next to you guys. It's going to be amazing.
It's showtime!
How are you feeling, Radio 1? Somebody make some noise!
There's nothing else. We don't need to do anything else.
So that is the video that we put out into the universe, and that shows all the celebrities that come onto Radio 1. But today we're here to talk about a different part of Radio 1, which is its audience. So a little bit about the station, for anyone who doesn't know. It's the #1 youth radio station in the UK. Our target audience is 15 to 24-year-olds, and we reach 1.34 million of those. When you take into account everyone who listens, we reach around 8 million every week. Greg is the biggest youth breakfast show in the UK. About half of the 15 to 24-year-olds that come into Radio 1 listen to Greg in the morning. And when you take into account the whole audience for the breakfast show, we reach around 4 million every week. So now I would like to introduce you to the two people to my very left. It's the producer of the Radio 1 breakfast show, Vinuri Perera, and the host of Radio 1 breakfast, Mr. Greg James.
Thanks so much. And thanks for sticking around. The last session on day one. You're amazing for still being here in the biggest room I've ever seen in my life. It's ludicrous.
It's a big room.
But beautiful.
Thank you for coming to Munich.
Pleasure.
Sorry you're not feeling the best. And
I was determined to be here today. I had terrible food poisoning over the weekend. So the front row, you were in danger. And then there was no seat on the plane
and
today.
then they tried to stop him getting on the plane.
Yeah.
So
just all because I assaulted a member of the cabin crew.
I did say not to.
It's really annoying.
I did say not to.
But we made it here, and I'm so pleased to be here. As my T-shirt says, I love radio, and I love being around radio people. And it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for not giving me the day off tomorrow.
Oh, sore subjects. We were here last, it was actually Lausanne, I think, in 2019, and you had just launched The Breakfast Show, and it actually launched And our thing was to say it's all about the audience. And so it's so lovely that we can come back in 2024 and talk about the success of it being all about the audience. Why did you keep the focus on the audience on the show?
Because radio is nothing without people listening to it. And that is a very basic thing to say, but if you truly believe that, you have to use that as the filter for every idea. So why would anyone want to listen to this thing we've come up with is the main thing we ask ourselves whenever we come up with an idea. We always think, okay, that's quite funny, but will anyone like that? Will anyone find that funny? What's it going to do to their day? Is it in any way relatable? What is it? So it's about that first of all, but also then using the audience is the main thing. And I grew up listening to radio shows that essentially were written by the listeners. And that's an amazing trick to pull off if the listeners trust you enough to come up with stuff. And we always thought, and I've always thought this about Radio 1 in particular, that how dare you think you're the 6 funniest people in the country when there are, 6 million listening. Of course they're going to have funnier ideas. Of course they're going to help you out with producing. And they do, don't they? Essentially, there's a team of, there's like millions of producers listening.
Yeah, that is one thing I was going to say when you said that. They love sharing their ideas with us. And I think there's such a trust that they have with you especially that they're not afraid to just say what they think. It is like talking to a mate. Something that as a production, it's quite geeky, but that we've introduced is WhatsApp. And that made such a difference with getting in touch with the listeners, because they can send us voice notes like they're sending it to their mate. There's zero filter, and that's a great way to reflect what they're doing as well when we put it on air.
Vinuri, we mustn't worry about being geeky. We are at a radio festival, and we're wearing a radio T-shirt. I think
And actually,
we're safe here.
On that note, I would like to get geeky because all shows on Radio 1 are about the audience, but there is something about The Breakfast Show where I think you do it best. Are there any production techniques or any tips? How is it that you get not just the audience on air, but in an entertaining way?
I mean, like Greg said, there isn't really a show without them, but the gems that we get from the listeners that are so invested, like they come up with things that we bring to the show that we haven't even thought of. And we've got a thing called a Good Callers doc that we swear by. It's like our radio Bible on the show. So we obviously ask them for their permission. Any good caller that comes on with an insane idea, we say, right, we're going to bank this person. If we ever need to a mad, wacky, whatever, we've got them. And I think that they're part of the radio team.
They are, yeah. So we will use that good callers list for trying out a new idea, or if we need a caller to help us with an idea or a new game or something. So we'll delve into that. So essentially, it's like a cast. We've got a cast of listeners doing it. But that takes a number of years to build up that trust, I guess. But you also, the crucial thing is you do have to actually like the listeners. And I really, really love the listeners. I think they're amazing. And I know what it's like to be one. And I try and remember what it was like to be a listener all the time. Whenever you get a bit distracted with a big idea or a stupid celebrity that comes in, you go, what is it like listening to this thing? And because I remember what it was like, that's something that I hold on to, and I go, okay, well, I want someone to feel like I felt when I was listening to Scott Mills or Chris Moyles, and I want them to feel like that. So that's really it.
Just to add on to that, I think sometimes we forget how brilliant they are, but then they give us these gems, like I said. So to be honest, we're stuck for a radio feature. We needed a new trophy feature, so we just put it out to the listeners and said, guys, if you've got any games, let us know. And amazingly, a listener called Maya came to our rescue and gave us Sit Down, Stand Up. Yeah. So it's something that she was playing during COVID with her friend on their commute to work. And they would just ring people up and ask if they were sitting down or standing up. They'd guess. And we essentially nicked the idea, with Maya's permission, obviously.
Yeah, but it's all because it's all fair game in a way, and they take the piss out of me, and likewise, and it's a really lovely relationship. And one of the reasons I still want to do that show, and I've told you this privately, but one of those reasons I still like to do it is because I love being in front of those people every single day. I feel like it's really enriched my life. I feel like I'm connected to different parts of the country I've never been to, different people I'd never met, different people that do different jobs that I never would have chatted to before. I've chatted to more truckers than would be normal in any normal life, unless you're hanging around lay-bys. You know, I've got this real amazing sort of connection with them, and I hope it's reciprocated. I think it is.
Okay. We've got a few clips to show you, so we can put our money where our mouths are. If we can get the presentation back up. One thing I wanted to pick up from you, though, was that just keeping your minds open to those ideas coming through is clearly something that the team already does.
Oh, 100%. Like, whether it's a creative project or just like a talkie on the show, there is no bad idea, and that is something that I feel is very valued in our team. It could be the silliest idea. It might not go anywhere, but at least you voiced it, and even if it doesn't go the full way, there's a bit of it that you can take that then develops onto something massive, you know?
Okay. So our first example is something that we did for Radio 1's Big Weekend in Dundee, if we can get the presentation back up. So it's this one. So tell us a little bit about what you did here. This is the week running up to the festival. We wanted to make some noise on the ground.
Yeah.
And this is the idea the team came up with was what?
So we did Keys to Big Weekend, and that lead up to Big Weekend actually happening, the team normally spend the week in wherever the city is. It just happened to be in Dundee when we did this, so we kind of had the whole of Scotland to play with, which was amazing. And what we normally do is we give away tickets that final week. So these are the last tickets to Big Weekend that you can get, and we thought we'd do something a little bit different this time. So we took 5 pairs of tickets and hid them around Scotland. And Greg, you didn't know anything about this.
Let me show you the clip, actually, of one of the pairs being found.
Roll Vita.
Laurie, where are you?
I'm in the stadium in Livingston.
Okay, this is great. So all the clues, all these mad scribblings, have pointed eventually, we think, to Livingston's ground, which is called the Tony Macaroni Stadium, a.k.a. the Spaghetti Had.
Okay, come on, guys. You have to say, Ariel Free, give us the key.
I can hear it all.
Hey, guys. Free, give us the key.
Amazing!
Come on down to the pitch. You found me.
I'm genuinely astounded that we've managed to do this.
I can't believe it. This is officially the first key to Big Weekend in Dundee, and it's yours. Thank you so much.
So Laurie, Erin and Shay get the first tickets, the first keys to the Big Weekend.
How real is that?
Really, very, completely real. I had no idea who, I didn't know anything. And that's a great place to start with these ideas, is that I don't know. Sometimes I'm there for some of the idea germination, but then I go, okay, I need to be surprised. I want to be surprised because it's much more fun to play the game for real. So I didn't know where the keys were, and obviously who the people were going to get. To the point where I remember chatting to, Laurie was the mum?
Laurie's mum.
So Erin and Shay were the kids. And I remember saying to the mum on the radio live, I said, oh, right, so you've got tickets to both days. You can take Shay on one of the days and Erin on the others. And she went, no, I want to take my husband. And so it completely dropped her in it, which was amazing. So I don't know anything about those things. So that's one of the things that I love about Radio 1, is that you're allowed to let it run away and be spontaneous and follow a thread, and a listener suddenly derails the whole show. And yeah, that happened. That only happened because that person found the key.
I do find when we're setting up some of the challenges, if there's a level of fear in the team, like what if it doesn't work, that's about the right line. Because if it's too sorted, it'll come across on air.
There's been a number of times I think we have stressed up until like, right, this needs to be executed next week. We're going to have to just figure something out, and it's going to have to work. But yeah, I think it's great not having Greg involved. Like, no offense, but like you coming along with the listeners to essentially figure out what we've planned for you is great.
But
like, you go mad.
It's just playing. Like, that's particularly what Radio 1 is like, and what stations like Radio 1 is like across Europe, is that you should be playing. It should be joyful. It should be play. It shouldn't be too serious or slick sometimes, because that's not what life's like. Your friends, the way you hang out and communicate to your friends should be kind of what you hear on the radio.
The next example is a flip on that, because this is about the Brits. And what I noticed every year, and again, happened again this year, is our colleagues/competitors in the radio industry will do the same thing. We have done it ourselves. You put competition up to win tickets, and then you put that kind of flyer out on social, ask people to call in. I went to the team and I said, okay, the brief to the breakfast show was just make some noise. and we got something very unique, which is when it was pitched to me, I wasn't quite sure about it, but I'm very happy with how it went now.
That's a good sign.
So, Vinuri.
Yeah. That's a good sign if people are going, oh, I don't know about that.
Okay, shall I show the video of two people called Meg and Charlie, and then we'll talk about what happened to them.
Charlie, good morning.
Good morning, Greg. How are we? You okay?
Very, very well. All the better for speaking to you. So how's everything? Week been good?
Yeah, week's been busy. I've recently proposed to my girlfriend on the Monday that we spoke.
What are you talking about? What do you mean? You can't just drop that in. How did you do it? Talk us through Monday.
So Monday, it was kind of bizarre. Basically, I've done it in the house while she was making hot dogs.
All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. Go on, run it by us again. Take us into the kitchen then.
Into the kitchen, she's cooking hot dogs. I'm with my stepdaughter. And then I went upstairs, got the ring, said a little speech, got down on one knee while she was cooking hot dogs. And then she said yes.
All right, no further questions.
So these were two people that you had on the show and you loved.
Let me explain. Yeah, so Meg and Charlie, two sort of mid-20s. Charlie is originally from Essex, near London, and Meg is from Swansea in Wales. So it was a real-life Gavin and Stacey kind of couple. And they were just, he was amazing. He listens to Radio 1 all day. His partner Meg does as well. He's a broadband engineer. She is a midwife. And they just listen to Radio 1 the whole time, and they're just really fun, really, really funny. Immediately, all the listeners text in going, these people are brilliant. Who are these people? So they were always in the back of our head. We use them for certain things. We're like, they're great. And you can just catch up with them like they're your best mates. And then the idea of the Brits thing happened, which was...
I have a video.
Oh.
Should we show the video of you doing this?
Let's put the video on.
You might have heard this week that Bella, my wife, didn't want to go to the Brits this weekend.
No.
So I've been trying to decide all week who I would want to take with me, and I keep coming back to both of you in my head because I love you both. I think you're brilliant. You've brought so much joy to this show. The listeners absolutely love you. But the problem is I've only got one extra ticket.
Oh, no.
I had a bit of a rush of blood to the head, and I thought, well, I've actually been to the Brits loads of times before.
What is going on?
And the Brits is amazing, but I sort of want someone else to enjoy it. I thought, would it be quite funny if you both took my tickets as an engagement gift for both of you?
Stop it!
I thought maybe it would be quite fun if we just swapped lives for the evening.
Oh, well, we were meant to be having a Chinese at my sister's house.
Okay, well, I could go and fill in for you there if you want. There's one thing I think you're neglecting here, and that is your child.
Maisie.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm really good with kids. I've got a young niece and a young nephew. I'm very happy to babysit Maisie.
Similar mindset of age and everything.
Similar sense of humour as a 7-year-old, so I'm very happy to babysit Maisie.
What is actually happening? What is happening?
And I'll show the third video. Yeah, round of applause.
Yeah.
And when I heard this go out, I was like, he's not going to though, is he? He's not actually going to go to Swansea and babysit.
We realised that Charlie and Meg would have an amazing time if they both went to the Brits, two of our favourite listeners. And I thought, well, do you know what's quite funny? If I give them my tickets and then I go and do whatever they need to do on Saturday and essentially do a life swap. We need to get into Maisie's review of my babysitting. Here's my favourite bit, is when we were sitting watching the Brits, you and Meg were sitting obviously in the O2 Arena, and this was the review of one of the moments with Kylie Minogue.
Why are they doing that?
It's a very good question, Maisie. What do you think about them doing drink out of a shoe?
She's been wetting that shoe all night. It's going to be sweaty. And they're drinking out of it. I think my favourite thing was when you were hanging off the thing. It was really funny when you were, like, spinning around.
Can you rate my performance with the dolls, please?
You were not good. You were like in a weird voice from my Barbies.
Too close though, because she's got chicken pox.
You don't know anything about dolls.
I feel like I'm learning a lot about it today.
Charlie and Meg, she kept inventing new chores for me to do.
Oh, did she?
I ticked off all the list that was put on the fridge, and then there were suddenly some new ones. And it was like, well, we haven't done enough dolls, or we haven't done enough reading. We're going to have to do some more.
Don't forget about them stickers.
So I've got a sticker on the back of my phone that's a G, and Maisie said, where'd you get that from? And it's actually Bella's. And so, Maisie, I've got Bella to buy you some, and I'm going to send them to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so the stickers will be en route. Don't you worry about that.
There we go.
There's the sticker.
So
and she did. Bella is my wife, and she gave me some stickers, and we sent them off last week.
And we have this email that comes around weekly with press pickup. And I think if we'd done a competition and given away tickets to the Brits, we wouldn't have got any of that press. Whereas it was one of the longest lists of press pickup I've seen for anything we've done recently.
But it was just, the test was that we all laughed at it when we were sitting in our favourite little cafe, Frank's, around the corner from work, as we do every day. And we said, right, we've got to decide what we're doing for the Brits. What's the thing? So we had these 2 tickets, and we thought, well, what's the funniest? And then I just said, well, the funniest thing is if I don't go, and I just switch lives with the person who does go.
That was when we were like,
and then everyone laughed.
That's it. Yeah.
And then I told Bella, and I told my mum and dad, and they went, oh, that's weird. I said, okay, great, let's do that then. And then a few boring people went, but are you going to be security checked? I was like, don't worry about the boring stuff. Like, just do the fun stuff first, and then we can work out the logistics afterwards. But that was essentially it. It was just like, just do the funnest, the stupidest thing. And it's true as well, because I have been to the Brits loads of times, and it's great. But it'd be funny if someone else went. And me and Maisie had a great time.
And so did Meg and Charlie. Like, I was sat next to them, and they were having the best night of their lives.
Oh, yeah, you were the chaperone.
Yeah.
So you chaperoned Meg and Charlie. So were they pissed?
Yes.
Good.
I didn't know if I was allowed to say that. Yes,
That's
they were
good.
very pissed.
That's what we
but
want.
yeah, had a great time.
We're going to move off pissed audience members onto a creative challenges that we do quite a lot of. So the next topic we want to talk about is 2 years ago, we did a creative challenge that involved listeners finding pieces of a giant jigsaw. Vinuri, what's this about? Can you explain?
I'm going to say I'm exhausted watching all these things back.
I know, I'm now realising
dead?
the amount of clips we've got, we're not going to get through these. We'll do this.
So our summer creative is, for me, an absolute highlight. So we start planning at the start of the year, because Alid, you say, right, come on, think about this now. And the giant jigsaw, so when we come up with these ideas, it's, like you said, Greg, what's going to get the listeners interested? What are they going to have fun with? And what can we basically do to piss Greg off? And for this instance, we took your show off of you. But you didn't know that.
No, I was sacked. A security guard came in, big guy.
Which you'll see in a sec.
Oh, we're going to see this. This guy
Sorry,
came in,
spoiler.
just lifted me out of my seat,
Yeah.
and that was it.
And we gave the show to Scott Mills and Chris Stark and said, they're going to take over your breakfast show until you basically find the 21 pieces of the jigsaw that are hidden around the UK.
And that's the key bit, because when this got pitched to me, I was thinking, because I think the jigsaw was in Brighton, so I thought it would be in and around Brighton and around London. They were like, oh, no, this needs to be the whole UK.
Yeah.
And then you just go through all those thoughts of, but what if they're never found? And are the listeners going to care that much? And how do the pieces get down to Brighton? Because we're not putting any vehicles on for these
And do
pieces.
you know what, actually, just a thing, when some of the other production members went to go look at this jigsaw, I think we didn't anticipate how big these pieces were going to be. It was ridiculous, and we were like, they're way bigger than we thought. Yeah. But, I mean, credit to the listeners, they got all the pieces to us.
And here's the montage of it actually working.
Greg James has been kicked off Radio 1 Breakfast, and he can only get his show back if he completes the Radio 1 giant jigsaw.
We have got Jade at Exeter Airport.
We've got this piece here from lovely Charlie that flew it over on the Sky Bus for us.
Of course.
We'll pop it in the main terminal.
We have the first piece of the puzzle. Right, Georgina, we're lobbing into the hoop. Hey! Flipped it, it's in. Oh, there's someone here! Yes! Gina and Lucy.
So this came from Exeter Airport.
Yeah.
We live around the corner from Exeter Airport, so we said, why not? Let's just go and get a bit of banter, innit?
So yeah, we've got 2 pieces in.
18 to go.
Yeah, all right. Hello, I am
400 feet above Brighton, looking out to sea.
Hello, Anira. Where are you?
I'm on a 38-foot yacht.
Do you want to come to me, or...?
I'm afraid I can't, sorry.
There's a puzzle piece on the boat, sailing south, which means it's heading towards Isle of Wight or France.
Tilly works in a cafe in Skegness.
Hi.
And I believe there's a handover that's about to happen. Rob, are you driving this down to Brighton?
I am. It'll be later tonight.
Callum Leslie.
So I have one puzzle piece, and that was at the Safari Park. Amy found a second piece, King Glasgow.
You'll then have 2 pieces.
Melvin has got hold of a piece of the puzzle.
So I went to meet Lauren, who had a piece in Wrexham, but we had to try and get it down to Brighton somehow, didn't we?
Hi Greg, this is Anna Abuele. I know where another piece is. I hope you can swim.
So you're at the Aquatic Centre in Smethwick.
I think you definitely need to make your way to Birmingham.
Run, Greg!
I thought all these pieces were coming to me, but I've now been bundled onto a train going to Birmingham, so I'm going to go to the site of the Commonwealth Games.
I mean, so that we don't leave you hanging, here is evidence that the thing was finished by the audience.
So, shall we?
Okay. Do it. Let's do it.
In my hand, I have piece number 20, which I dug up with the help of Simon Cox, the ring finder. And I'm about to place it in the puzzle. Radio 1's giant jigsaw. It's complete! Oh, boy! Yes!
Now, I've since had a debrief about this, and I did ask the question, why was it floating? And the production team said, because that's funnier. And that's another great example of just do it because it's funny. But there's no reason for that to be floating, and there was no reason for it to be so far out that I had to wade in.
But had the audience not cared, that would not have been completed.
No. And it was an amazing sort of matrix of people helping out, taking it on journeys that they were already going on, journeys that they could make. There was one. Do you remember? Was it the Women's Euros or the Women's World Cup?
Yes, it was Euros at the time.
And there was a Lionesses game in Brighton that night, and because of the way you can sort of manipulate bits of the BBC and get in different departments and stuff, we managed to get a puzzle piece on the TV coverage for one of the most watched football games of the year.
Yeah, it was in the background.
And people
Gabby
spotted
Logan.
it behind Gabby Logan.
Yeah.
That's right. And then someone said, "I'm there at the stadium. I can grab it."
But I think like on TV as well, her face was just above the puzzle piece, so we could see her. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, so it really just involves everyone. And yes, the thing you need to sort of just get out in front of and say, that does require some sort of budget to be able to do those sorts of things. So we love doing the really small, easy to do bits, which are like the Brits thing, which is relatively small, but we also love to do the big bits as well.
That actually tees us up beautifully, because I was going to say, there will be a certain budget that goes with it, but I wanted to use this example because would be free to all radio stations who are doing something in the studio. Admittedly, this was a Comic Relief challenge that Molly did last week, but I wanted to include this because it was the content that the team came up with that I thought was great. The baseline was there was some rap between you and Matt.
So yeah, Matt Edmondson, he loves rewriting songs, but he also loves rapping. I don't necessarily love his rapping. I've told him this to his face. So he'd written this song for Molly King, and he'd got some really great pop stars to sing it for her, but he'd put a rap in the middle of it, which was him. He'd made up some rap. And I said, well, why don't we delete the rap and see if the listeners want the rap, and if they do, they can donate and get to a certain amount of donations for Comic Relief. And there was egg on my face because the listeners donated, what was it, like 100 grand or something?
Yeah, it was more money than we anticipated they would do. They shot through the target and then some.
So if you challenge the listeners to do something, if you say, come on then, are you up for this? What do you really think? They will pick a side and they will go for it, and they will have a go at you or have a go at Matt, and we didn't know how it was going to go. It was genuinely, it was me and Matt bickering on the radio, and the listeners really respond to that, because it's just like mates taking the mick out of each other.
But the reason why this example is here is not just the fundraising. The production team did something really cool with the listeners, which I was really impressed with. What was that process? What did you do?
So again, it's using them to help drive it. So I think we got them to send in their voice notes, and then we collated them all, and it was literally, come on, Greg. It was egging the two of you on, essentially.
Let's take a listen.
Yeah.
About 45 minutes ago, we announced that the total was £30,019. Matt Edmondson has enlisted the help of some pop stars to sing a version of The Climb, but they changed it to The Ride. Matt Edmondson, because he's doing Matt Edmondson things, has added his own rap into it. I deleted the rap from the version we played and essentially held him to ransom and said if we don't get to £60,000 donation by 9 o'clock this morning, the rap will never see the light of day. And my God, am I getting some heat for this? I'm getting heat from you listening. I'm getting heat from my friends that I work with. Ricky Hayward-Williams is annoyed.
Greg, I'm literally running for my train, listening to you on BBC Sounds. I just heard what happened to Matt, the rap not getting played. You have to play the rap, man. Come on. It has to be done. He's worked so hard. I feel so bad for him. Play the rap.
Don't feel too bad. It seems to have woken a lot of people up and got people donating.
Hi, I'm Anya. It's my 10th birthday and I would be willing to donate £10 of my birthday money to hear Matt's rap. Go Molly! Go Molly!
Anya, you're a legend and happy birthday for that. Jessie's listening on the way to school in Keynsham and says, Greg, hurry up. I've got to get to school and be in school by 9. All right, well, we'll let you know just by 9 o'clock. So if you can hold on, Jessie, please do. And go well.
If I had the 30 grand in my bank, I would send it all just to hear the rap. So I'll just donate the cheeky tenner. Get that rap on.
Oh, good on you, Mark. Really, really good. Who else?
I've just come off the phone with my missus, telling her to put house up for sale to get this money together. Let's get it done. Go, Molly!
Right, well, obviously I'm not going to sell the house because that takes a good while, but I have donated, and I think everybody should donate to get to more than 60 grand. Aside from the rap, I mean, the rap would be a bonus, obviously, but let's do it. Let's go.
Just pulled over in my lorry and donated because I have to hear this rap. Go, Molly.
Come on, then. 70011 is the number. Text the word 5 or the word 10 to 70011.
And the use of the clips, I thought, as a listener, I didn't want to hear Matt rapping. I had already donated to Comic Relief, but I just felt like I was part of a group, a community of listeners who you were hearing from, all egging each other, and I thought that was really well done.
Well, on that point, I think that is essentially the core of all the great listener stuff that we have on Radio 1, which is, and any radio station really, which is where if you're listening, you hear somebody say something funny, do something silly, or contribute, you go, oh, I could do that. And it really is as simple as wanting to give people a platform to say their thing, say their story, say their funny thing, try and make me laugh. That's essentially it. I'm trying to make them laugh every day, and they're trying to do the same to me and the rest of the presenters. So that feels like that's the transaction that's going on there, is that we're providing this platform, that the radio station is not impenetrable. There's loads of radio that I hear and have heard when I was a kid growing up, was that it's quite impenetrable. You're like, oh, I don't know if I'm part of this. Am I allowed to contribute to this? And I really love how open radio can be. And you're waking up in the morning and suddenly you get a call from a radio station and you're the star of the show that day. I think that's the most powerful thing that radio can do, is suddenly you're in your bedroom and then the next minute you're like, oh, hi, yeah, I'll do a quiz live on the radio, yeah. And then you say something stupid and then we use that clip forever, and then that person becomes Charlie, who talks about the hot dogs, and then Charlie becomes the star of the Brits, he then gets in the Mail Online, and then he becomes like a famous listener. I think that journey is the real magic of radio.
I totally agree. And here's a nice little clip showing Molly hearing the rap that did end up happening.
I wish that I was with you on a tandem two-seater, reaching around and feeding you delicious fat cheetahs. I know you're all alone, but no, I'll never leave you. I'm with you all the way, 500 kilometers. I know you're on the highway to home, but keep your head down and you'll get the results. Everyone's donating, they know you're the ghost. That's why you'll always be
Everything okay, Molly?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm not sure if in a good or a bad way.
Very nice. And our last clip of the day is...
There he is.
It's The Rock. And I wanted to show this because you need celebrities. The celebrities, I don't think we could be an audience-only radio station. And we do need to be part of the promo cycle when big names come through Radio 1, whether that's music, TV, or actors. But you don't let them take over the show, I find.
I think when we have celebrities on the show, our thing is bringing them into our world and making them speak to your average person that you would never speak to. Like, we got Dwayne Johnson to speak to a guy called Darren, who he probably would never have encountered ever in his life. And I think you've got a clip of Darren.
Come and give us your unpopular opinion. Something up till now
you're afraid to say.
Yes! Okay, let's have one more from Darren.
I really love the smell of asparagus wee-wee.
Well, that was worth the wait. Can you relate, Dwayne?
I hate the smell of asparagus wee-wee. But I'm really fascinated, Darren.
Yeah.
And I think the listeners are too. What is it about the asparagus wee-wee that you love?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, really. One, I like a bit of variation on a wee-wee. And two, it reminds you that you've enriched your body with good things.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, no further questions from me.
A round of applause for Greg and The Rock, please.
But I think that's what I mean. That is amazing. You know, that Darren was just at work, and on the end of the phone, that he speaks to his mum and his partner and his friends or whatever, he's now speaking to The Rock, and he's talking to him about asparagus wee-wee, which is a thing you'd say in the pub, and your friends would go, "Are you okay, Darren?" But I think that's so. Really, it's everyone is equal on radio. I think that's what's so nice. So me with the listeners, with a celebrity, if they want to play ball, I think that's the essence of the show, isn't it? That everyone is able to chat to each other, and everyone is just a person. But they can be a really fun person, they could be a really famous person, they could be whatever.
I think it's also looking for those gems, because on our show we get hundreds and hundreds of texts when you punt out for something sometimes. And it is overwhelming, but Darren is a perfect example of why you should just go through all of those messages, because there'll be one gem that you need to bring something like that to life.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing, is that it's incredibly difficult. Like, it's supposed to sound effortless and fun, but the work that goes on behind the scenes of a thing like this is extraordinary. And you do have to just keep checking, keep calling back. And it's about prepping the caller as well and making sure they're not scared or whatever. So all of that stuff is really vital.
I'm going to ask for that. We have 4 minutes left. Would anyone like to ask a question to Vinuri or Greg? Let's put your hand up if you do. If not, then we can use the whole 4 minutes on the production of that element. Okay. So how is the show doing that then with those audiences? Because in my day, back whatever century that was, when I used to do the phones, there was always a guilt to not using someone.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you keep that quality high on the breakfast show?
No, you're always going to feel that guilt, because they could be the most heartwarming person, but it just doesn't land. And that's okay sometimes. I think sometimes as a producer you feel like, oh, you want to give everyone a chance, but that doesn't always make the best radio, and sometimes that just has to be cutthroat. But sorry, what was your question?
Well, that was it. Yeah. So you would be that cutthroat.
Yeah, you just kind of have to.
Because I don't hear many people on air that didn't work.
No.
So that means you've gone through the filter beforehand.
Yeah.
But again, at the start at the core of everything is, will any listener like this? So if you've got a listener that you've got an instinct and you go, people are going to love this. Yeah. I think the listeners are going to really like this. Then that's your green light. Whereas if you've got someone who go, oh, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't. And you would pre-record it. We could pre-record something after the show, finesse it a little bit, and that's totally fine. It's the live callers you've got to really trust. Yeah. And we do trust them.
Yeah, we do. And there are sparks that come through, like the voice notes really does make a difference.
Yeah.
they'll just sound wacky, and we'll just be like, Greg, this is great, we're going to call him. And sometimes you call him, like you just get them on live, you just give you the show phone and off you go.
You do what?
Yeah.
I just call them up and say, come on, say what you did, come and talk to me.
Yeah.
And they normally will.
Well, I've learned something today.
There are loads of times that you just ring up, but I think they're not caught off guard because I feel like they know you because they listen to the show. So they're like, oh, it's Greg, you know, oh, hey, how you going?
Yeah. Well, 1 brings 2 and 2 brings 3, and then people go, oh, I know. Because you get to that point, if you do it for long enough, and I think that's the other main point about this, you can't just go in straight away and be like, hello, I'm a new presenter, and I'd like to come and babysit your child, and you're going to go to the Brits. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Who's this? But I think if you've got that sort of a bit more established, I think you can do things like that. But the listeners know what you want, essentially, when you get to that point in that relationship.
It's like I said, sometimes they know what we want more than what we know, if that makes sense, because they'll bring us an angle that we didn't even think of, and that'll be a jump off for a whole other point.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Well, Vinuri and Greg, thank you so much for coming out to Munich to do this session. Thank you for going back and doing the breakfast show tomorrow morning.
It's going to be good.
Day 2 of Radio 1's big weekend lineup. I appreciate it. Round of applause for Vinuri and Greg.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope it was useful. Oh, can I do a quick shout out for my 2 favourite radio stations from Europe, please? Is anyone here from Fun Radio in France? Fuck. Music's on dance floor.
Clearly not a favourite.
Is anyone here from Radiodays in Italy? Oh.
Okay, this is going well.
Unbelievable. Where my Italian contingent? Where are they? Anyway, those are my 2 favourites, but I also enjoy all the rest of your shows as well.
I think we're done. Thank you.
You've got 30 seconds left, Greg, if you want it.
Radiodays 100% grandi successi, which means 100% great success. Okay? We need a tagline on Radio 1.
We do.
It's time for the news.
Bang on time for the news. A true pro. Vinuri and Aled and Greg James, please. Show your appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's been a fantastic end today. Thank you very, very much. If you enjoyed today, more tomorrow. 9 o'clock if you can make it tomorrow morning. See you at the party tonight. Please don't forget your badge. Take care.